I don't know if you guys heard, but I understand that Keller is going to use the Ring doorbell to access people's private property and to in the name of protecting us from crime, which is an absolute violation of your private property. And private property is what the founders really was concerned about. They talked about the usurping of liberties, and the usurping of liberty, your liberties and your rights are your private property. So your right to defend yourself is your private property. Your right to the first to all natural rights. Now you have a right to the Constitution just tells you what some of your rights are, but those don't give you your rights. Your natural rights you're born with. So all this surveillance cameras. So whether it's the Ring doorbell or you're driving down the street and uh, you see a camera on the stoplight, and they're everywhere. It looks like to be, and I don't know if you've seen Person of Interest, but it scare the hell out of you. And now you see all their surveillance cameras. They say, well, they're street cams, and you see them on the big eye. We're trying to help traffic, and that's hogwash. They're just trying to steal your personal information and keep an eye on you because they don't trust you. And the reason they don't trust you is because they're criminals and they're the ones that's doing all the dirty stuff. I just looked up a surveillance, an argument with the surveillance, and I'm going to read it real quick. But I asked for an argument against surveillance besides just basic concepts of the violation of your natural rights and private property. And unless you say something, they're going to continue to do it. So this is what was pulled up. In today's world, it is imperative to be clear and steadfast relative to the importance of adhering to the Constitution of the United States of America, with special emphasis on key amendments like the first, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, ninth, and 10th. The primary highlights are that all government officials are bound by oaths to unconditionally operate within their limited delegated authority as per the Constitution and never violate the people's rights. That's a joke. The Constitution limits the government's authority to what is specified within its clauses. It goes without saying the significance of citizens actively participating in discussions about laws that affect them in paramount, and the effectiveness of successful legal strategies grounded in constitutional principles utilized without exception leads to significant court victories, such as in New Mexico. Defend your rights, be knowledgeable about the law, and engage in action to safeguard yourselves by asserting the full power of the Constitution. Protect your rights and challenge any government overreach or infringement using constitutional authority. This website is established pursuant to the Constitution for the United States of America and any replicas thereof, and particularly the Bill of Rights, and specifically the first, fourth, fifth, seventh, ninth, and 10th amendments. Any public officer or official in any government position who has previously taken an oath or acts under age principle oath, who acts in opposition to the website, in any manner acts in opposition to, including but not limited to, the following. Okay. This was something else I was looking at. This didn't pop up. This was wrong. But it's interesting. Oh, no. Cancel. That was not it. It was something else. Here we go. Surveillance, particularly mass or indiscriminate surveillance, raises significant concerns across multiple domains. A primary argument is that it fundamentally undermines privacy of values in itself, regardless of whether an individual has anything to hide. The notion that you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear, is considered invalid because privacy is essentially for personal autonomy and dignity. Now, personal autonomy and dignity also applies to they're pushing in violations of your rights whenever they're mandating vaccines and 6 feet distancing and masks and things like that. The mere existence of surveillance can lead to self-censorship and behavioral changes as individuals alter their actions and thoughts when aware they are being watched, ultimately fostering a conformist society and stifling intellectual freedoms. This chilling effect on free expression and association is particularly damaging, as it can deter individuals from reporting abuse or engaging in political discourse due to fear of retaliation or double victimization. Surveillance also distorts power dynamics between the watcher and the watched, increase the risk of blackmail, coercion, and discrimination, especially when data is misused or accessed by unauthorized parties. The potential for data breaches is a serious concern as collected information can be stolen, and each duplication increase the risk of unauthorized access. So this goes back to also stealing your biometric data, and that's happening all over. It's happening on the internet right now, and you should fight that back by putting a lien on your own property, which is yourself. Furthermore, surveillance infrastructure can be misused in the future, even if current intentions are benign, and there is a significant risk for surveillance data collection under democratic regimes could be exploited by future authoritarian governments. Well, to be honest with you, democratic regimes are authoritarian governments. That's exactly what it is, because that's you rule by number, right? So it's just whoever's the biggest bully. The risk of democratic decay means that surveillance powers established the legitimate purposes today could be used to enforce illegitimate laws in the future. Critics also argue that surveillance is ineffective in achieving its stated goals, such as preventing terrorism, as terrorists often use methods that evade monitoring, and there is a little evidence that mass surveillance has successfully prevented attacks. Moreover, surveillance systems are vulnerable to manipulation by those in power who can selectively delete or alter footage to protect themselves and or others, leading to a perception that surveillance is used to oppress the poor while shielding the wealthy and powerful, which makes sense. This selective enforcement undermines justice and erodes public trust in institutions. Surveillance also creates a climate of fear and suspicion, which can damage the social contract in democratic societies and lead to a loss of trust in government. Finally, the lack of meaningful judicial oversights and the difficulty of challenging secret surveillance programs in court due to standing requirements further entrenches the potential for abuse and undermines constitutional protections. But also, you have to remember that when you're using the government to protect your own rights, they're the ones that are violating it, and they're the ones that have the intention of expanding their arbitrary power, whether it's the judicial system, the executive branch, or the legislative branch. The whole concept is to expand their power and limit your rights so they can continue to expand power and put a thumb on you and prevent you from exercising those natural rights because they want power and control over you. So you have to do something about it. Again, I encourage you to be active. I encourage you to, you can write letters, but you also need to be prepared to confront them, verbally and physically, to not allow them to take your natural rights, because you have that right. Who says that? The Constitution says that. And so does God. Those are your natural rights. So with that being said, be aware of what's going on. Tim Keller's got surveillance everywhere. Governor Grisham's got surveillance everywhere. Yeah, until you stand up and say no more, until you put them back in their place, until you tell them to knock it off, and until you do something about it, they're going to continue to violate your natural rights, your God-given rights, not government-given rights, your God-given rights, and the rights that are natural to you, as you're a human being as soon as you were born. Okay? So stand up, fight for your rights.